After 5 years of construction and over €1 billion spent, December 2006 finally saw the opening of the Dublin Port Tunnel. The stated purpose of this tunnel was to reduce heavy traffic congestion in the city centre, much of which is caused by heavy goods vehicles coming from Dublin Port. Just weeks before the opening date, government coalition partners, the Progressive Democrats, proposed moving Dublin Port to a smaller terminal facility. This extraordinary proposal by the PDs would render the port tunnel redundant. As with no port, there could be no port traffic, just a €1 billion white elephant. This plan is certainly not the PD's own idea. In 1990, a report by the Electricity Supply Board criticised proposals to spend £39.8 million on upgrades to antiquated port facilities in Dublin and Dunleera. The ESB report questioned the rationale of such spending, given the limited space available for upgrading these facilities, and instead suggested moving the port to Braemore near Balbriggan, County Dublin. This site was judged by the report to be far superior to the existing location, as it had deep water access and was within easy reach of the national road and rail network. The report also judged a proposal to build a relief road to be ill-advised, as it would fail in its task of removing traffic from Dublin's streets. However, the recommendations of the ESB were ignored by the Dublin Port and Docklands Authority. Money which could have been spent on relocating the port and creating an integrated transport system taking traffic off Dublin streets was instead pumped into shoring up Dublin Port. In 1993, the Dublin Transport Initiative proposed the construction of a port tunnel. Originally, the relief road identified by the ESB report as a waste of money. Kellogg Brown and Root, the civil engineering subsidiary of Halliburton, and the main US military contractor in Iraq, was appointed to oversee the project. Their duties included ensuring that the project design was in compliance with national and international standards of construction, and the inspection and verification of the method and quality of execution. Despite the guarantees of KBR, in the spring of 2006, the use of substandard concrete led to cracks appearing in the tunnel, resulting in the leakage of substantial quantities of water. In addition, the ventilation system, consisting of 16 jet fans along the 4.5 kilometres of tunnel, has been deemed inadequate for expelling pollutants and circulating oxygen. It has been stated that an additional €100 million would be required to install an adequate ventilation system to accommodate heavy traffic. No guarantees have been given as to the efficacy of the extraction fans should cars be stopped due to an accident. At 4.65 metres high, the roof is too low to accommodate so-called super trucks, which are used extensively by the haulage firms who are expected to use the tunnel. All of this means that the supposed traffic relief that the tunnel was supposed to provide will not materialise. One might wonder why so little money has been spent on upgrades to Dublin Port, as its continuing viability is the pretext for the construction of the tunnel. As of the 2nd of February 2006, the market value for land in the Docklands area was a minimum of €15 million per acre. Instead of being used for the redevelopment of the port, 668 acres of public land in the Dublin Port area have been held in disuse, despite the need for public housing in the city. The PDs have stated that this land will be used for private development when Dublin Port is vacated. If indeed the plan to move Dublin Port comes to fruition, what was the point of building the port tunnel in the first place? According to its promoters, the Dublin Port tunnel promises to dramatically reduce the number of heavy goods vehicles in the city, reduce traffic congestion and promote safer streets in residential areas, reduce noise in Dublin City, improve air quality, and facilitate the continued development of Dublin Port. However, the tunnel will do none of these things, nor was it meant to. Instead, as the evidence clearly indicates, The reason for building it was to massively subsidise international construction companies and to inflate the price of land along the route. An antiquated port, which could have been abandoned as far back as 1990 to the benefit of trade, industry and infrastructure, was allowed to limp on for nearly 20 years, while €1 billion of taxpayers' money has been poured into a hole in the ground. The December opening of the port tunnel has solved none of Dublin's traffic problems. Ireland, as we are constantly reminded, is a modern country in need of modern infrastructure. This may be true, but an expensive and unnecessary tunnel will not provide it. What it will do is help perpetuate the government's ill-conceived and irresponsible transportation policy, which continues to encourage a near-exclusive reliance on motor transport. It is an open letter declaring the Irish government's true allegiance to the benefit of property developers, speculators and construction companies, not to the best interest of the Irish people.